This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's Tuesday, which means we're doing a top 5 video, and that's the usual thing I do on a Tuesdays these days. But I will admit that this isn't the video I started out, or that I was going to make. Let me explain. A few weeks ago on the live stream, someone said, why not do a top 5 list of your 5 favourite YouTube guitarists? And I thought, what a brilliant idea. But then when I started to kind of go into it, it was like, well, okay, I've done at least 3 videos now about my 5 favourite YouTube channels. And given that most of those are guitar-orientated channels, it seemed like it was going to be ground that I'd already covered. So then I started thinking, well, what about doing a video on my 5 favourite specific guitar videos on YouTube? And I thought, well, yeah, great idea. So there's obviously going to be that Gary Moore one of that performance. And then, and I can't, there's another Gary Moore one as well. And, and there's basically about 3 of the 5 items on the list were going to be Gary Moore performances. So I thought, let's just go all in and do my 5 favourite Gary Moore YouTube videos. So that's what we're doing, starting with...
The Sky is Crying, live in Switzerland, 2001.
Yeah, for me, in 1990, when Gary recorded and released, Still Got the Blues, that for me was the absolute, he was never going to kind of better that album. And after that, we had, After Hours, which was sort of Still Got the Blues Mark II, and then the BBM thing was pretty good, and Blues for Greenie, but then he went off and kind of just went away from the blues for a bit, didn't he? Dark Days in Paradise and A Different Beat, and then he came back in 2001 with the album Back to the Blues. And you can file that album under albums I really tried to love. A couple of good tunes on it, most notably the beautiful instrumental called The Prophet, and this one, The Sky is Crying. I'm talking here, though, about the live version of this. He's playing, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, his famous red Stratocaster, which features in another video that we're going to be talking about very shortly. And he's just absolutely on fire on this. Much better, I think, than the studio version of it on the Back to the Blues album. It's just Gary doing what Gary does: fiery, high octane, full throttle blues, and making it. The weird thing with Gary's playing, and this is a thing that I notice, is it looks like he's putting his whole kind of being into it, and kind of gurning and sweating and everything, but at the same time he still manages to make it look and sound effortless, like it's just flowing out of him. And a bit of a paradox, but you know what I mean. Go and watch the video. I've linked to all of these videos in the description, by the way, but if you want to hear some absolutely top-notch, stellar, top-shelf blues playing in that kind of fiery style that Gary was so well renowned for, then go and check out this one. Let's see what's next.
Black Rose, One Night in Dublin, 2005.
Yeah, the One Night in Dublin concert. Back in the days when we used to have Sky TV, this whole concert was shown on Sky Arts. On the Sky Arts channel, one I don't know when it was, but anyway, basically I recorded it in my Sky Plus recorder, and never ever tired of watching it. We don't have Sky TV anymore, and so consequently I don't have a copy of that. I keep meaning to get it on DVD, but I'm not even sure we've got a DVD player now. I don't really need it because the whole concert is up on YouTube. One Night in Dublin, a tribute to Phil Lynott. And basically, I'm sure you're familiar with this. If not, then go and check it out. But Gary and his then band, I can't remember, basically it was just a 3-piece, I seem to remember. It was just Gary on guitar with a bass player and a drummer. Basically, Gary with his band, and, Brian Robertson comes out and does a few numbers. Eric Bell comes out and does a few numbers, and so does Scott Gorham. And one of the numbers that Scott plays on is Black Rose, the title track from the, I think it's 1979 album, wasn't it, Black Rose? For me, Thin Lizzy's best album. Best studio album, at least. There is, you can say that, you know, maybe Live and Dangerous was, you know, a better kind of compilation of their songs. But I love the Black Rose album, and the title track is just an absolute masterpiece. And this, for me, is the definitive version of it. Just absolutely. I mean, the crowd make this performance as well. I mean, you see them going absolutely bananas at Gary's playing, and I seem to remember that, Scott Gorham comes out and does this song, Black Rose, with Gary. Then they go into Cowboy Song. And then, of course, the Cowboy Song goes, Cowboy's Life. It's the life for me. Boom. Straight into The Boys Are Back in Town. A great little kind of 3-song compilation. But if I had to pick one of those, one performance from that, it's definitely Black Rose. As I say, all linked down in the description. Go and check this one out if you're not familiar with it. Next.
Red House, the Strat Pack concert, Wembley Arena, 2004.
Yeah, now in 2004 there was a concert at Wembley Arena called the Strat Pack, which was basically celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Fender Stratocaster. And, you know, everybody was there. Everybody of worth was there. You know, I think Joe Walsh was there, and the Crickets, or the surviving members of them, were there. I seem to remember Brian May famously ditching his red special for the evening and coming out and playing a Strat with the Crickets. Not something that you expect to see every day of the week, but for me, the standout performance was Gary doing Jimi Hendrix's Red House. Again, much like the Sky is Crying performance that I mentioned earlier, he's playing his red Stratocaster, and it's that absolutely full throttle, on fire, high octane, you know, kind of pin your lugs back because I'm taking no prisoners, blues rock playing. Just absolutely, again, looking like he's putting every ounce of his being, every ounce of effort into it, and somehow still managing to make it sound effortless. For me, the definitive version of Red House. I'm sure that will upset rather a lot of Hendrix fans, but that's how I feel. And you know, if you're not familiar with it, don't judge me for kind of saying that Hendrix version isn't the definitive version of this song. Go and check out this Gary Moore version of it and make your own mind up. It is absolutely impeccable, absolutely fantastic. Go and check it out. Next,
Shredding the Blues. Interview with Guitarist magazine, Neville Martin.
Yeah, now this performance here, if my memory serves me correctly, originally appeared on the giveaway DVD that Guitarist magazine used to do. I haven't bought it in years, maybe they still do. Used to kind of give with every issue. I suspect they don't. And it was, I think this was in the mid-2000s, I can't quite remember the date, but it was sort of between sort of 2000 and when Gary sadly passed away in 2011. You know, and it's just Gary chatting with guitarist editor, I think he was still editor at the time, a chap called Neville Martin, who himself is a rather tasty player in his own right. And yeah, they're just chatting, and Gary just keeps kind of noodling away. I think he plays a Telecaster, he plays a couple of Les Pauls, a 335 at various points in the interview, and just plays, just unaccompanied, no band, nothing. And dear me, he absolutely just tears it up. It's really weird to watch because he goes from being just this really affable kind of pleasant guy who's having a conversation with a guy. I mean, these two guys obviously knew each other. Gary and Neville also obviously knew each other and kind of had an existing kind of friendship. So it's just two guys chatting, friends, you know, and whatever. And then Gary starts playing, and suddenly the night, to coin a phrase, no more Mr. Nice Guy. He just becomes an absolute beast. There's one part particularly which I think in the chapters of the video is called the Gaza Jazzer, where he just kind of starts shredding this kind of jazzy blues rock kind of stuff. It's really weird. It's like Larry Carlton and Wes Montgomery meet well, I don't know, Gary Moore. You know, it's got that sort of Gary Moore fieriness to it, but it's all kind of fancy jazz scales and chords. I keep promising myself that I'm going to sit down and figure it out one day, but you know, it's that may be a bit of a rabbit hole to go down. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, that absolutely fantastic performance, and great to hear Gary just chatting and talking about the guitar as well. So that's well worth checking out. Next,
Empty Rooms, Stockholm, 1987.
Yeah, the earliest one on the list, I think, yeah, it is. 1987 performance of Empty Rooms. I mean, that's a song that I think, how many versions did he record of that? There was certainly the version on the Victims of the Future album, which for me is one of my favourite studio versions, or possibly my favourite studio versions. Then there was a version that he did on the Run for Cover album, which I didn't really like very much at all. It was just, it was like suddenly he kind of joined Depeche Mode. It was all kind of 80s synthy keyboard sort of stuff, kind of plastered all over it, which I didn't really care for. But for me, the definitive version of this song is, well, of most Gary Moore tunes, is usually the live version. And this is from a gig in Stockholm in '87, from the Wild Frontier tour, I believe. The only thing wrong with this video is it's the picture quality is a bit grainy, and somebody that clearly doesn't play the guitar has edited this together, because there's shots of him kind of, you think, well, yeah, the notes that you're fingering there aren't the notes that I'm hearing. So, but never mind, just listen to the music. It's absolutely stunning. I remember a very similar performance to this that was broadcast on the great British institution that was the Friday Rock Show with Tommy Vance in the 1980s. And yeah, I remember being kind of really, wow, that's incredible. You know, fantastic set that Gary played in that performance. And it was round about this kind of Wild Frontier era of his career. But this is the one that's up on YouTube, and it's very similar to my memories of that one that I heard on the Tommy Vance show way back in the 80s. How much the solo is worked out, because it's all about the solo. It's an 11-minute version of the song, and 4 or 5 minutes of that is the solo at the end. How much of the solo is worked out and how much of it is just spontaneously improvised is hard to tell, because you do get the feeling that he's got like a few kind of motifs and hooks and ideas that he's going through, but it's just the way that you can tell that he's reacting as he's playing and taking it in a direction that just feels right in the moment. Just the best kind of improvisation, really, and just such a command of melody, of phrasing, and let's not mince words here, speedy, twiddly Gary Moore, you know, kind of fast rock technique. Absolutely mesmerising playing. And yeah, for me, as I say, it's just one of his best moments, which is why it's on this list. So there you go, folks. Those are possibly my 5 favourite Gary Moore videos on YouTube. I have a whole list I could have chosen from, but these are the ones that I do seem to kind of keep going back to time and time again. Let me know what you think of them, if you haven't checked any of them out before, or if you're well familiar with them, and maybe you think that there were some others that should have been on the list, or maybe you've got a list of your own. By all means, post it down in the comments. I'm always interested to see what your take on my little top 5 lists are, and yeah, we can compare notes, can't we? And that is pretty much the video for today, folks. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen and found it relatively entertaining in some small way, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not drop me a like while you're at it. Don't forget, as always, the live stream every Friday 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars. What a great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it, but for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.